Today we're going to learn how you can add graffiti to any wall in your pictures.
This is going to be a comprehensive review. My name's Tiffen.
Shut up! How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're making another Photoshop tutorial. So let's get straight into it. I've used this once before at a Sri Lankan Comic Con convention where I took a picture of this, I think, Master Chief. And the background was just too plain, so I just added graffiti. And then recently I did this shoot on my balcony of the sneakers, you know, that I keep reposting. I'm obsessed with high tops. And I was like, you know, the picture's pretty plain. What can I do to make it look a little bit more interesting and, you know, make it seem like it was taken out in the streets? So the first thing I'm going to do is go and, you know, Google Images and get some images of graffiti, right? So graffiti, I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. And then go to images and you're going to see like a bunch of, like, you know, some of these things pop up. Now, the way we're going to use it is we're obviously going to add it to the background or to the foreground. Search around and you might find some really good pictures. This, for example, is a really nice one, so I'm just going to download it. Save. How do I save? Save image. I'm going to just download a few more just so that I have a couple if I need it. Yeah, this seems like a good one. You also should probably pay attention to the size of the image or the quality, because you know, depending on how blurry it is in the background, you might want to increase that. Okay, this seems like a good image as well. So let's go ahead and save this image as well. What we need to do now is to, okay, you know what, figure out where we're going to use it. Now in the image that I'm looking at right now, there are three main walls. There's a foreground, which is, you know, the wall that's on the left side right in front, and then there are two walls in the back, which is essentially the background. So how are we gonna do this? So let's go and drag and drop these images that we just got. Drag and drop all three images. Hit enter, and if I hit Control T on the keyboard, as you guys know, we can free transform these images, right? But a problem with this is, like, we can't just slap any image on a wall or on anything for that matter, because the foreground I'm trying to lay this on is is angled, so you kind of need to match the perspective to make it look real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I be small, right? And I'm going to go on to edit. I'm going to go on to something called perspective warp. So I'm going to select that tool, and what you have to do is you have to draw on top of, you know, that image that you have, and then hit enter, right? So you need to make sure that you are on the layer that you want to warp, right? So now if I go and pick these ends, you're gonna see that, you know, it's warping that image. So what you want to do is you need to go and take these ends and place it in such a way that it's going to look like it's on the wall, right? So once you've done that, you can just hit enter again. So it's gonna be on that perspective. So what you need to do now is to make sure that you know, you either reduce opacity a bit so it like blends in a little with the wall. Now you can choose a lot of blending options on the blend drop down, so you can select click on each one and see if there's anything that makes it look like it's part of the wall. In this case, I would not do anything at the moment. What I would first do is I would try and, you know, remove like use the mask tool a bit here and kind of remove the bottom bit here. So I'm going to use the pen tool because it makes it look like there's something there. So I'm just going to use the pen tool, go on to path, hit control and click on the box, and just bring the brush, select a black color, make sure you are on the mask bit, and then just color that out, because, you know, it kind of gives the illusion that like that. It's an image. So remove anything apart from the graffiti, because that was like the flow bit there. If you take a look at the original image, that wall is pretty blurred out because it's part of the foreground, right? So what you need to do is you need to go into filter, you need to go into blur and add a Gaussian blur. You can, so you can take a look at it in this tiny box here. You can increase the blur so it kind of matches the wall. So now what you need to do is you need to play with the opacity or the blending modes to try and bring in or to blend this with the wall a little bit more. You know, this is like the best kind of way. So you need to like mess around with this a lot. And as you can see, you know, there's a bit of a weird hard line at the bottom. So all you need to go do is, you know, click on the mask tool, take the brush tool and you know, increase the hardness or reduce the hardness, and just go and, you know, paint at the bottom a bit, you know, kind of remove that harsh edge a bit. So you have the foreground. So let's move it around a little bit more. See if I can use the arrow keys, make it. Alright, and that's one wall done. So let's go and take a look. Okay, there's a couple of more walls. Now, the other walls are a little bit more challenging because they're in the back. So let's just say we need to just put it in the back. And then, you know, make it small. So if you take a look at the edges of the wall in the back, they're very blurred. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I add a mask layer and kind of you know, make them not very distinct. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw across the top and the bottom so that it doesn't have like a hard edge. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add on top of this, I'm going to add a blur, right? So obviously this is in the background, so it needs to be even more blurred than the one in front. Go on to blur, again, Gaussian blur, and, you know, go to town with it. You can really, you know, stretch it because this is really far back. So once you do edit, you can again go and mess with the blending options to try and make sure that it sticks to the back, or it seems like it's actually like real graffiti. So obviously now how do you deal with the fact that there's the foreground, and there's the shoe in front. Again, go back to your mask tools. So what you want to do is you want to select on the mask patch, bring up the brush tool again and select the black color and just paint over it. Paint over the sections that you don't want the image to be on. And if you go a little overboard, change the color to white and bring it back. Black to erase. Black to erase. Now obviously you can use the pen tool and outline your shoe, or you can just take, because it's blurred anyway, just, you know, color over the shoe. And you can, you can be really precise on it, or it's up to you. You can be really precise on it, or you can, just be haphazard because it's in the back. And you can change the opacity levels, make it a little bit more realistic, believable. And you kind of have to select the right amount, the right type of graffiti to fit the situation as well. Now, okay, that was pretty straightforward. Now, this next wall it has a massive angle. All you need to do is make sure you selected the image and go into edit and go to puppet warp and just draw that image real quick and then hit enter. Make sure you're selected on the layer you want to warp before you hit enter. Once you have that, all you have to do is drag the ends to where you want it. Obviously this starts here and then this goes all the way like that. And then I would say that this starts at this wall and goes all the way here. Now, pretty neat. It looks like it's, you know, in the same angle. So what we need to do is we need to push it back by adding blur, and also, you know, like blending it in with the wall. So let's go and add the blur first. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. You can leave it at that. Seems fine. And then let's mess around with blend settings. Soft light, hard light. Yeah, soft light seems like, let's go with the overlay. Actually, you know what, let's just go to normal, and just mess around with the yeah. So again, use the mask tool, take the brush and just draw over the foreground. Wherever there should not be graffiti, just draw over the foreground. It's as easy as that. If you want to make it. So there you have it. That's how you add graffiti to your background. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I was rushing through. Now, if I would do anything differently, I would go back and, you know, select different types of graffiti that would fit a lot better in this image. Now, obviously, you can be a little bit more thorough, a little bit more, you know, tedious, and make sure that everything's lined up. I just told you how to, you know, put it into all these walls and line them up and change perspective so they match the image. Obviously, the quality is going to depend on how much time you add to this. So for the sake of the tutorial, I was speeding up a bit, but I can put up 2 images of the final edit that I did. And the one that I ended up posting, you can see that, you know, it's a lot more refined, but the principles are the same. Make sure you know, make sure you pick the right graffiti, make sure you align it with the image and use the puppet warp, or sorry, make sure you use perspective warp. Have I been calling puppet warp? I can't remember. It's perspective warp. If you go on the file, you're gonna see it's right below puppet warp. So don't click on puppet warp, so don't click on puppet warp, click on perspective warp. That's it. Mess around with it and let me know how it goes with you guys.
I'm dying to hold ya. And I hate when you call and I hold you close like I know it's already over.